Hi, I'm Bet from BettesMakes, and today we're going to be making gift tags, and we're not only going to use paper, but we're also going to use vinyl. And you can see an example on the screen of one I quickly put together just to show you some of the nice, easy techniques for you to make your own gift tags. So let's get started. I am going to just leave this one is, and I am going to start a new project. And what we want to do is create a set of gift tags, some that are round, some that are rectangular, and maybe some are different designs. So we're going to do 3 different ones. We'll start with a round one, then we'll do one that incorporates a rectangle, and then we'll add some fancy parts to make a really different one. So we're going to do 3 different types. So let's start with our round one. So obviously we need a shape here. So we're going to start with a round. And I'm just going to change the color of this because I prefer a different color. Now I'm just looking up here at the size. It's 3 inches by 3 inches. That's not a bad gift size tag, but I like even numbers. So what I'm going to do is come up here to size and change it to 3.5. There we go. So now we have a nice size all ready to go. What else we're going to need here is we're going to need a little circle in the center so that we can cut out a little place to tie it to whatever package or put it on a box or something to that effect that we're going to use. So I'm going to come over to shapes again, and this time I need another circle. But this circle, I'm going to come up here and change the size to 0.25. That's 1/4 of an inch. I want it really small, and then I'm going to put it into position here as to where I think I'm going to need it. Don't want it too close to the top, but that's not bad for the top, but I know it's off. So we want to center this from side to side. So let's come up to a line and we'll center it horizontally. That looks really good. I'm going to take these 2 together and I am going to slice them. Now, normally I would duplicate a circle, but as you can see, I have 2 of them that were cut out. So now we have one basic tag that we can use, but it is, it's not fancy. You would just write your name on it. But what if we wanted to do something a little different with it, such as maybe cut an edge out and do some writing in the center? So let's see what else we can do with this. I'm just going to duplicate it because I want to keep our original intact. I'm going to move it over here. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to offset. And this time with the offset, I'm going to bring it down on the negative side because I want to create something. Let's see. Let's make this negative 0.25, I think. Yeah, 0.25. We'll make it 1/4 of an inch in. Just hit my tab key. And you can see that's a little ways in. 1/4 of an inch isn't that far, but let's just apply it. And there we go. And I'm just going to pull this out here. So now we have a totally different shape that we can cut out of this other shape if we want to. And let me just center these again. Come up to our line. We'll go horizontal and we will go vertical. So everything seems to be in place. So let's highlight them both and let's slice those. And we got the slice. We've got this extra little piece here. We've got the outside piece just like that. So now we have a different type of tag. Now this could be a cutout piece that we want to put on top, such as a piece of vinyl, or we can use this as the cutout piece as well. So let's just take this one. I want to do something a little different with it. So let's duplicate it. And because we're working inside here, I'm just going to keep that over here. I want to come up to this one. Now I want to click on contour. Now with contour, I can hide all the contours, but allow our little hole through the middle to show up. And then I'm just going to click the X and you'll see that I have a nice one that's all put together. So this could be cut out as the background. So let me just change the color a little bit so we can see it. And then this piece can be cut out and fit around it. Center those. So we have like a 2-layered tag. Now, if we didn't want to have this extra piece here, we could actually take this one and let me just bring it to the front. Let's arrange it. Let's send it to the front. And we can bring that up. So we could actually cut that one out all by itself in another material, or we can use it as white going in on top. So now we have 3 different choices here for our tag. One that's just going to cut out with the decoration, so it would cut out and then fit on top of the regular tag. Or we can also cut this piece out separately and add it in a little later. So there's 3 different ones that we could work with here. So that's all we're going to do for this circle right now. So I'm going to take these 3 pieces and just slide them out of the way. And I don't need these 2 pieces right now, so I'm just going to delete them. I'm going to keep my little tiny holes because we're going to use those again. Okay, so this is one. Let me just take these and let's group them so I don't actually touch them or move them any which way. Okay, so let's take another shape, for example, a square. I'm going to bring it down to the middle. Of course, I'm going to change the color. Let's make this one purple. And I'm going to unlock it because I don't want a square tag. I want a rectangular one. So we'll make this 3.5 wide. Perfect. And maybe how about 4 inches tall? That looks pretty good. So I'm going to lock it at the top here. You'll notice the lock comes at the top and also to the bottom. So now we have a little tag. We could put a hole in that as well, and that would be a very simple tag. So let's just duplicate this for now. I'm just going to move this one over here. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to grab our little dot here, and it's in behind, so I'm going to arrange it and send it to the front. And what I want to do here is I want to align it horizontally so it looks pretty good. And because it's just a little tag, I am then going to come and I am going to slice it. So now we have a nice little tag, and we could do the same thing that we did with the circle. So let's come up here to offset. Now this is negative 0.194. I'm going to make it negative 0.25 just so we get a good look at it. That looks really great. Let's just apply it. And I don't like black, so let's just make it a lighter color so we can see it on top. So now we have another piece that we can layer on top to make this a really great looking tag. Now, once again, you can cut the center out if you wanted to. So let me just grab this one and let's duplicate it and move it out of the way and grab these 2 and slice them. A couple of these. Now I have one that looks like this. We have one that fits in the center, which looks like this. So now what we want to do is have a solid one available. So we'll duplicate that. There we go. I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to take this one. I'm going back to our contour, going to hide all contours and let our little circle appear and click the X. So now I have a background for that one. Now this one's the same color, so I'm going to have to change that color just so we can see it. There we go. So that would fit on top if we wanted to. And we could also color things in to make it great this way. So I'm just going to get rid of my couple of extras here that I don't need. So there's 2 simple ways. One we had, I'm just going to group these. One we had with a rectangle and the other one with a circle. Now we're going to start to get into something a little more complex. What we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to make it fancy on either side. Now, this is really, really easy to do. I'm going to add some text. Now, with your text, you can use different shapes from your text to create designs. And what comes to mind for me right now is this nice little curly Q. Now, that looks really good. I'm just going to click on it. And it's black right now. I have to click in the layers panel sometimes to get that color going. And let's make this one green just so we can see it. Now I'm also going to make the width of this one, I guess it's the height I'm more interested in. I'm going to make the height 3.5 inches, and now we can see it. Now, the biggest problem with this particular font that I'm using, you'll see there's a little cut here. Well, I don't want a cut, so I'm going to have to change my fonts. So let's come up here to font, and we can pick something that we think will have a better looking. No, that one's not much different. That's Cricut Songs, that's why. Let's see what this one is. That's a nice squarish one. Let's see if we can find something that's very roundish. Now, I know it takes a little while to take a look at these items. Well, that one did not have what I was looking for, but what's this one? It's a little roundy. It's not as perfect. Oh, actually, it's got a nice little top to it. So let's just bring this over here. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees because we're going to start working with this in a little way. Now, I know I had set it to 3 before, but if you take a look, it's not quite the width we want. So let's come up here to its size and the width. I guess it's, oh yeah, we rotated it. So we want 3.5. Now that should fit in here quite nicely. And it does, and we'll just move that up a bit. Wow, this is looking good. So let's align these, because if you align them, then they're going to look a lot better. So I'm going to align it to the left. And now I have a nice, funny little shape that goes on with it. Now I'm just going to duplicate this because I want to use this again. Just move it out of the way. What I want to do is I'm going to take both of these and I am going to weld them together. Now you see I've got a nice gap in here and I don't want that gap. So what I'm going to have to do is come back here, grab a square, I'm going to unlock that square, and I'm just going to place that square right over top of the area I'm interested in. Let's see where I go, right about here. Can I see any of the white through there? No, I can't. So let's highlight them both and weld them together. Wow, that looks amazing. Now, what if I wanted to do the same thing at the bottom? I could go through the same process, or I can do something a little different. So let's take a duplicate of this and let's flip it. So let's come up here to flip, and we're going to flip vertical. And as you can see, I can make it as long or as short as I want. But I can do other things with it. So I'm going to just duplicate this and just move it off to the side so I can get to it. So let's take these two pieces and let's align them to the left. There we go. I'm going to take both of these. I'm going to see what our height is. Our height is 6.4. I'm going to make this 5. Let's just see what happens. It is locked, so I better unlock it before I do anything. I didn't. Okay, so we'll unlock it. We wanted that at 5, but we want this at 3.5 so we can get it back. Now that looks darn good. Let me just lock that in place. That's a nice looking tag. So I am going to weld it together so I have a nice funky looking tag here. Now it's just a matter of just taking one of our little circles. I guess I'm going to have to bring that to the front. It quite often happens you're playing with a range a lot. Now let's see what happens if I come up here and align it horizontally. It's not going to be exactly where I want it. It's a little high, so I'm going to bring it down. And that gives me not quite enough. But what I find is these are off center. So I could off center this one as well, just to be a little different. Move it a little bit more. That looks really good. Okay, so let's highlight them both and let's slice them. Now I have a different shape tag, and I'm just going to move these little dots over here. And that was based on just using a piece of text. This is a bracket and a rectangle by putting those things together. but we can get even fancier as we move along. So let's take another shape. Let's find another tag shape that we might want to use and see what else we can do with it. So let's try a pentagon. I haven't played with these much. I'm going to unlock it. And our pentagon width is 3.2. I'm going to make it 3.5. Like I said, I like even numbers. I will make it 5 inches, just like the other one. And I'm going to lock it up at the top, and it should lock down here. That looks really nice. And let's not have that color. So let's go for a blue this time. So now I could just simply put the hole in here and have a nice little tag, but I want to decorate it up a little more. So we can use other shapes to make changes here. So let's take, let me just take a circle for now. And I'm going to change the color. And let's just make it a lighter blue just so I can see it. And in this case, I am going to unlock it because I want to make a nice little extra shape going in here. Now that looks really nice. Now how wide is that? It's 2.9 something. So let's make it 3. And my other one is 3.9. So let's make it 4. I just love the even numbers. It's just so much fun to work with. Now, we have a really nice looking tag, and we could just put a little circle here, or we can decorate on the outside and just add some other decorations. So I'm just going to take this. I want to duplicate it. I like to keep the duplicates. And I'm going to take this one as well and duplicate it. And just move them out of the way because I am going to weld these two together. So we have a different kind of shape. Now we can do lots of things here, even with text. And I love working with the text. Bring up here the text, and we can pick something off the keyboard where it can be pretty fancy if we want it to be. So I'm going to use an ampersand this time. Okay, so I'm just going to make this bigger so we can see it. As you can see, we can add little squiggles here and there just to make a design a little bit different. I can just unlock this guy and just bring him down and just play with it. And I don't know, I don't really like that. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to come back to the text. And no, I just seem to love the brackets more than anything. They seem to provide us exactly what we want and when we want it. So let's go back and pick our curly Q bracket. Just bring it larger here. And the big key here is to be able to change the font that we're working with. Going back over here to the fonts and just going to scroll through. I have hundreds of them in here. And as I scroll through, I try things. That one's definitely not going to work. That one's very squarish, if that's what we want on the outside. I tend to like things that are more rounded. So what I'll do is I'll just scroll through here and just pick anything I think is going to be rounded and look really nice. That one's pretty square as well. And I know there are other ways to find your fonts and what you're looking for. Now this is a single layer one. Oh, now I like that one. And I can see that I can use these S curves. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this in half. So let me just grow it here a bit so I can see it. I'm going to cut it in half because I only want the top part of it. Let's get to our shapes. Let's get a square going here. And I'm going to have to move it over a little bit. I'm going to unlock it. There we go. I'm going to bring it right down so it's in the halfway mark, is it? So what I can do is, okay, I think we're halfway there. Get the numbers going in front of your face here. So let's just give this one a try. Can always change it later. Okay, I'm going to highlight them both. I am going to slice them. So it looks like I did okay. Yes, that's exactly what I want. A couple of S's. And I'm just going to get rid of this. Now what I can do is I can add some curve appeal even to the bottom of this. Let's just see if I can fit that in. Now this will weld together as one piece. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I am going to duplicate it. I am going to flip it. And then I'm going to move it over to the other side. Before I do anything, I want to take this one and this one, and I want to align those. And I'm going to align them to the bottom. Nothing seemed to move. Okay, I'm looking at this. It's over the edge. I'm going to hit my arrow key. That looks nice. And I might hit my arrow key here as well. Now, does that look aligned? Not quite. I'm going to have to drag this one out just a tiny bit. That looks pretty good. Let me just move my other S out of the way here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this now and I am going to weld it together. So now as you can see, we've got a different shape on the go again. Now I could duplicate this and just simply add a little hole in the middle. Well, we have to add our hole anyway, but this time I am going to offset it and we're going to the negative again, but I'm going to go to the negative this time to negative 0.5, and it's going to be a little bigger. And there we go. We've got an extra piece on the outside. I've got my extra piece here. So let's duplicate this. I'm going to have a lot of duplicates here I'm going to get rid of. And we're going to take this and we are going to give ourselves a slice. Just move these out of the way. There we are. That's the piece I wanted. Now this can be the decoration on the outside. And of course, we have the other piece that we're going to have on the inside. Where is it here? Okay, I'm going to make this one a little darker so that we can see the two of them together. Make it dark. This is actually going to fit underneath. So this is my duplicate. Now, the biggest issue, I don't have anything here that is going to be sliced out. I have left the tag so that I could possibly put it at the top or at the bottom. I find sometimes if you want to keep this shape interesting, you will do this later. So let's start. I'll just take this purple one and I'm just going to bring it down here. I obviously have to bring it to the front. And the other thing I want to do with it, okay, I'm just going to move these out of the way for a second. Okay, what I want to do is center that aligned horizontally. Perfect. All right, what I'm going to do now is I am going to slice that. I've got it out of the back. Move these over here. I'm going to put this one in behind. All right, so let's take these and let's align them horizontally and align them vertically. So this is another way I can get this hole through here. So I've aligned both of those. One of them has the hole in the right place. I can now click slice. And I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces right here. I can move that out of the way. Now, all I need to do is have these 2 pieces put back together. Now, that's why I always take a duplicate of everything. Now, I don't have a duplicate of it. So I'm going to take this piece all by itself and click on contour. I just want to show you everything you can do here because there's so many different ways. And it contoured it. I'm going to have to undo that because what I forgot to do on the contour is I'm going to hide all contours, but I want my little hole to show up. And then I'm going to click my X, and now I have exactly what I was looking for. I'm going to bring this one to the front, range, send to front. Okay, So now I have all these pieces and parts. Now these are all extras that I'm just going to get rid of these. I better make sure I'm getting rid of the right ones, those ones. I don't need this one or this one or this one or this one. I want this one as a plane, and this one I don't need any longer. These three fit together and these three fit together. The last thing I don't need are all my little dots. So I've cleaned everything up here. Now I'm going to ungroup this. At the top, I have a middle and I have a backing. Now this topping, so I want all the backings to come up here. And I think I have another one right here. Going to ungroup that as well. Just move them out of the way. I'm just going to put all my backings together. And then these are the pieces that are going to be cut out of vinyl. Now I have this piece would be cut out this way. So I think what I will do with this one, I actually don't want to have these extra larger pieces. So I'm going to get rid of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one and I'm going to align them center, align them center. And what I need to do here is make sure that I can make my frame. So let's highlight them both. I will slice them, but I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to move it out of the way. And now we have our sliced piece, just like that. And I don't want this one. So I have my outer edges that I'm going to cut in vinyl. But I also need to have this and these two things put together. So let's take a duplicate of this and show you what we're going to do. Did it duplicate? No, there we go. So I actually don't want this piece. You're going to say, oh my goodness, what's going on here? Okay, so let's take this one because it's the backing piece. Let's click on contour, hide all contours except our little hole. And then we'll click OK. And look at that, we have everything. Now, we're going to use two different materials. And I'm going to cut most of these out of the same, on the same mat. So what I want to do here is just change them all. Let's make them all gold, same colors so they go on the same mat. And the same with these ones. I'm going to change the color here so that we can see them all on the same mat. And that way I'm not fighting with mats by the time I get there with this. So let's save our tags. These are gift tags. So I'm going to call them gift tags. Vinyl. These are going into our October makes, and I am going to save it. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start to make this. And I'm just going to move my maker into position here. I'm going to turn it on. You'll just hear it whirl. While this is saving, we'll click here, and then we're going to go to make it. Now, those are our vinyl pieces, so they're going to be on the mat, done. And then I can decide to put them in the 4 different corners. Oh, that's interesting. I did 3. I don't need one of those. I happen to have 2. Okay. I don't know if I can delete. I can hide that one. Okay. There we go. And on this one, what we don't have is the middle one for this. Okay, so let's go back to the drawing board here. I'm just going to cancel this. Now I ended up with 2 of these instead of the one that fits in the middle here. So I'm just going to have to give it a treatment, going back to the offset, and we're going to here to the negative side, and we're going to put in 2.5. That looks good. Well, it's a bit thin, but I will apply it anyway. I'm going to get rid of this guy. We don't need 2 of those. Okay, we are going to cut this out of this so that we have the frame, but I think that my easiest thing right now, let's just duplicate this one so I have it. And then I can take these two and slice them. And then I have the black piece I can get rid of. I have a frame which I wanted in the first place. I can get rid of this one and put this one back into place. So those are the 4 we should have. And I'm also going to have to change the color for this. So as you can see, it doesn't matter how well planned you are to work with different things, things happen. Okay, so let's go back to make it. We're going to be on matte. Now I can take these and just move them where I want them. This means that I can use 4 different colors of vinyl. Here, I'm not stuck with just one. And the same thing with the next mat. I can change the colors of all of these. I'm not stuck with just the one color. Now I do have to make note that this one, like a 5-inch by 7-inch piece is going to fit here. So what I generally do is I just take a scrap piece of paper, such as this one, and I go, okay, top left is 5 by 7, and top right is, I can get away with 4 by 6, 4 by 6. And then at the bottom left, I need a piece 4 by 4. That one's easy. And the bottom right, I want 4, and I'm going to say 5 by 5. 5 by, I can get away with 4, 5 by 4. So I'm going to cut the pieces. All I did was write them down on a sheet of paper so that I know what I can expect. Now this is going to be the same measurement for the first mat as well. I'll just put those off to the side, click back on the top one. Now these are going to be my vinyl pieces that I'm going to cut here. So let's just click on continue and just take a second to hook up. And I'm using some sparkle vinyl for all of these. I'm using a removable one because I had some extra, but it doesn't have to be removable. It's simply a vinyl. It's a glitter vinyl that I'm going to be using, and it's from Cricut. Okay, so what we want to go over here, I'm going to see what's popular over here. Do we have a glitter vinyl? Smart vinyl? No. Okay, so I'm going to type in vinyl here. Search for some vinyl. And we should have a glitter, dry erase, holographic. I have holographic here, so we could use that as well. Premium vinyl frosted, holographic. Okay, it might be easier if I looked for glitter. Frosted glitter, frosted clay. How about if I type in glitter and see what I get? Glitter cardstock, craft foam, duct tape, mesh iron-on, pattern glitter, premium vinyl glitter. That's about the closest I can get. I'm just going to make it a favorite, and we'll select it and we'll consider that done. So all it wants here is to load the 5-point blade. So I'm going to stop my share right now and I'm going to switch cameras. Okay, so I have a holographic one that I'm not going to use, so I'm going to put that one aside. But I am going to use my glitter vinyl. So I've got 4 different sizes that we're going to be using. And I've got the different gift tag. I've got 3 different colors that I'm going to use here. One of them happens to have a reverse, so I will be able to use these. So this is just plain cardstock that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to cut the vinyl to go over top of these. Let me just put those aside for a second. Grab a nice mat here so that I'll have a mat ready to go. But I do need to cut these into position. So let me just slide this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. I'll just move this out of the way. I do have my cutter here. This is a Cricut cutter. So now I have my piece of paper where I wrote down all my directions here. So I need a 5x7 of one color. So let me just pull these out of here. Just twist them so they come out. There we are. Out of side. So I can decide maybe for the first one, we might want to have a nice red color glitter. I'll pull this piece out. So I want a 5x7 piece. So let's see how big this little piece is. It is, oh, it's not too bad. 5x7. Okay, so let's go from here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to cut it at 5. Don't worry about 5. And I want to come down to 7. Now you can see the inches on the side here. Get an estimate of what that would be. 5 inches there. Sometimes a little harder to cut. I'm going to move this across because I had an extra piece cut out of this already. I'm going to line it up. Up right there. This extra little piece off because I find it's getting in my way. Okay, so now we want 7 inches on this piece right here. So let's one. So we have 12 inches and I want 7. So I'm going to push this down till it says 5 inches. I'm just going to cut that piece off. Now that's the one piece that we need. I'm going to have to repeat this process for the other ones as well. Let me just move those out of the way. Okay, so we're going to make one tag with this color. And I have some other colors here. Let's try a nice, gold will look really nice. Now for the gold piece, I want a 4x6. It's 12x12, so I can do the 6-inch cut first. Here. Okay, so I want this to come down to the 6-inch right here. Okay, and I want it to be 4 inches. So here's my 4 right here. All I have to do is move this up to the 4-inch mark, which means 8 here. There we are. That's the second piece. Fold away. And I have a 4x4 piece. And let's just mess around with a lot of this stuff. 4x4. Oh, there's a nice purple. Let me pick this one and I will do a 4x4. What it means it's 8x8. 8. Right there. And 4, so it's approximately there. This piece, I need the 4 to come this way. So I'm going to cut it backwards this time so I can see. I'm going to go back to the 8-inch mark right there. It should come right out. Perfect. We have 2 kinds of purple here, and the last one, I think I'll do a silver or blue. I think I'll do a silver. Silver will look really nice. And my last piece is 5x4. 5 would mean 7 here. 4. There it is. Same thing. 4. Slide this through. Great. Those are all our vinyl pieces all ready to go. I can take this off my desk so I don't make a mess. Okay, so this is the first cut. Now for the next one, we have to decide, you know, the colors that we're going to use for the first one. So I've got these colors all picked out. So I could actually go this color with this one. So that would mean I also need a piece of paper approximately the same size. So what I'm going to do is just slide this through. And it just has to be approximate. I'm going to just take it right down so that I can use that paper for something else. And then this is, instead of measuring it, I'm just using the ones that I've already cut. So now I have those two pieces. Perfect. Now we have the one with the silver. So we have to decide, oh, silver will look great on either of those. Okay, so let's go silver on this one. Means I'm just going to cut the pieces approximately the same. So say accuracy is an option on that, just as long as you're close. What you do is just get it up there so I am close, so I have pieces that are going to be the same. Nice, those two are ready. Okay, I have 2 more that I am going to cut, and I think the gold will look really nice on this color. Now, the biggest thing is, you know, it would be really nice if you could just, you know, put your machine on and then just go ahead and cut away without having to deal with the other parts of cutting all the pieces of paper, just putting a giant piece there. But I find that that is quite wasteful. Okay, so I've got that one. So now I have to pick one of them. I don't like it with the blue, so the blue is out. I might do another one. That we did the other purple with that one. So why don't we take one of these, and you know, that'll probably be good enough for what we want. I don't have to cut anymore. I'm not going to be wasting much this way. So I'm going to put my little measurements aside. So the first thing we want to do is take our mat off, and we're going to do our placement. Now, the first placement is going to be the larger piece up in the corner. Where is that? There it is. Now, this is the glitter. I'm just going to place them just as closely as possible. And then in the other corner, we picked on this one, which is the 4x6. I just have to make sure that's not the right one. That's the 6-inch one. So this one goes here. And then in the bottom corner here, we have the smaller one, which is 4x4. So that's going to fit right in here. And then, of course, our last one is going to be, it's a square, so it doesn't really matter. It is 5x4, 5 across and 4 down. That looks good. Now, because I really want them to stick, I'm going to use my brayer tool to get them to stick to the mat. Because I notice sometimes things start to lift up like this. I may have to use some tape on that. The rest of them seem to be staying on there okay. Just this one little corner, and I don't know why it doesn't want to stick. So let me just grab a little bit of masking tape. Just use a little bit of masking tape to hold it in place because we want to have a nice accurate cut. And I don't want things sliding along. So I'm just going to tape that down into place to make sure it stays there. And I might add a little to the edge here as well. A little bit, just to hold it into place. Your mat sometimes loses a little bit of stick. Okay, we are ready to start cutting. I'm just going to bring this closer to me so I have enough room in the back. A little extra coming up here as well. And it's good to just pick it out. I don't care about the bottom as much as I care about the sides and the top. Okay, looking good. So all we need to do now is just load our mat. All right, next we want to add our next sheet of paper. So I'm just going to put this aside and we'll work on it in a second. Now what it's going to ask us for is the type of paper we're going to use. And in this case, we want to use a medium cardstock. And I've placed the pieces in place here. I just have to use my brayer tool, make sure things stick down. The cardstock tends to stick a little better than using the glitter. But before I load it in, I need to bring this down a little bit. Okay. Okay, we're going to unload our mat. I'm just going to move this out of the way so we have some room to work. There we go. Now what we're going to do is put everything together. So we have these parts that we've done. I'm just going to roll the mat and get everything out on the table. Roll it this way. Just get everything off. And the reason I roll the mat is because I don't want to have a bend in my tags. Okay, let's get the protective cover on. Takes care of this one. I'll just move it out of the way here for a second. I'll just add that to my scraps. Now we have the other mat that we were working with as well. Let me just shut this off. Just pull these off. This one is a little easier to pull off. Once again, I want to protect my mat. I'm going to have to clean this one. It's not sticking as well as it should. There we go. Okay, we are ready to start putting things together. There's one more little item I want to do before we get to the final part of where all these pieces are going to go. So this one. Our little circle didn't come out as easily. There it is. Okay, let me just grab these out of the way. One more. So now we have all of the circles. You can see this one a little better when I move it over here. Let's get rid of our scraps. I have a couple more things we're going to do here, and I don't need my measurements anymore, because we're going to need some ribbon for our tags, and I've got this here. And then we're going to transfer all of these cutouts back onto here. And I have a simple way of doing that, and this is called parchment paper, and I just bought this one at Costco. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a bit of parchment paper. Let me find the end here. Cut off a piece for what we need right now. Here we are. And I'll explain to you exactly what we're going to do with this. Now, first thing is we have to get rid of the outside edges of our glitter. And see if I can pull the edges. Nope, I'm going to have to use a tool to get to that, because the weaving is sometimes the tougher part of what we need to do. This little weeding tool here. I have this little toolbox that I use. And I'm going to have to pull the edge here. So just get it started. And there's our nice little circle. I've got the extra piece, but now what I have to do on here is find the center piece here. There it is. Because we're only using the outer circle here. So just really hard to see what we're getting to. There we are. Remember, it's the outer edge only that we're interested in here. There we go. Now I have this nice little extra piece. I can, use it for something later if I wanted to, but for now I'm just going to remove it. And then the last little piece on this one is I have this other center circle that's in here. And there we go. So we have one ready to go. All right, so we need the circle and the circle, and then we have to decide, which side do we want to put this on? Well, I'm going to keep the back side like this. Now we're going to do the same process for each and every one of these. So we can weed them all ahead of time, or we can just do this one at a time. So we've got those two ready to go. So let's pull off our next one here. This is a little easier to see because it's silver in color. Let's see if I can pull that off of there. There we go. Pulling whole backing, interesting. Pull this right off the top. There we go. I'm not getting enough of the one at the top, but sometimes that happens. I pushed it down too far. Okay, so now we've had the second one. Don't worry about this extra piece. It's not going to affect us. Looks like I cut a little too short, but it will still work. Okay, so that one belongs with this one. All right, so let's grab this next one. I can see the hole in it right there. I can see this back piece right here. There we go. And then we want to take that centerpiece out as well. As you can see, you could probably use the centerpiece for something else, but for today's project, all we're going to do is use the vinyl in that way. Okay, 3 down. So this one belongs with this one. One more to pull apart here. It's hard to see as well. Wow. I have to pull it this way. There we go. Okay. So if I get it started, seems to work quite well. There it is. Now we have to pull out the middle. Tough to see from here. I can see the hole. Rack it this way. Just got it started. There we are. I found it. Okay, so now we'll put the circle up here as well. There it is. And peel off nicely. So we're all ready to go with this one. Now I just want to show you a little trick here of putting this whole thing together. I know this is feeling like I'm only making tags, so why is it taking so long? Well, it's a matter of measurement and doing what you want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off a piece of this parchment paper. What I want to do is I'm just going to place this over here, and I am going to, I should bring it out here a little more so you can see what I'm doing. Because we want things to align, it's sometimes really hard to line things up. So now I pulled this right off, but now I'm going to put it down on my parchment paper. It's not going to really stick to my parchment paper, although it'll stick to me. And this is going to be a little bit of a game changer for you. So what we're going to do is now, using the parchment paper, we're going to align this as best we can. Want the edges. Now this is showing a little fold. As you see, it doesn't really stick to the parchment paper. Just going to bring it up a little bit. There we go. So this is just a little edge. Now you can see where we finally got it to where we want it. Now this is going to be the easier part, because this will not stick to the parchment paper. We can gently pull it back bit by bit and put it into place. And it just made our whole process a lot easier. Isn't that wonderful? And there we go. We've got the first one all ready, and then we'll add the tie right at the top. So we have this at the back and this at the front. These are pretty big because I wanted you to be able to see what we were doing. Okay, so let's just move that one out of the way. Let's go on to our next one. And this one's the gold one. Once again, I'm going to place this where I want it. I just want to make sure we're on the right side. Go this way. It appears to go that way because these ones are off center. So all I'm going to do is pull this from here. There we go. Gently. Just pull it this way. This one doesn't want to cooperate like the other ones, but I just gently pull it. There we go. I can get rid of the extra piece. I'm just going to lay it down on top here. Just get it off my fingers. Okay. So the whole goal here was to be able to take this and just line it up at the top, right where you want it. Maybe a little tougher because I can't really see what it is. Okay. My paper into place. I can see we're not quite matching here. The best part of all of this is the fact that our parchment paper, it does not stick, but I'm going to move it up just enough so I'm only hitting that top piece, because that's the piece we want to match first. Just a small piece. And then I can work myself over to the next little area. I can see it. Okay, get my fingers out of the way. I also want to double check on this piece as well. Seem to be smooth enough here. Move the parchment paper just a tiny bit. These to match. Looks good. Okay, now over to this side. Now the rest should be really easy. It's just a matter of pulling it down. See, it's over just a tiny bit. That could be just the way I see it. Just off slightly, and that's my vision. That's my issue here. Just slightly crooked. And the parchment paper makes a huge amount of difference in how easy it is to match things up. Okay, just match that one up a little bit. I have to bring it down. Okay, so that's the second one. So let's do the same thing with our third one. Remember, we're pulling it off initially. There we go. Pull it off like that. I am going to put it on our parchment paper. A little bit poking out. Don't need a lot. Just enough that you want to be able to match them up as best as possible. You get the first little bit, then all you're going to be doing is, I can see through where this is not matching. I may have to bring this up just a little tiny bit more so I can see the hole. There we go. See where the hole matches. Looks like it is turned a little bit. So let's try and get this, make this as a cross right there. It's the cross right there. Remember, it's the first part you really want to make sure is matching up, because the rest of it is just going to be a pull through. Pull this down a bit. A small amount. Wow. Slightly off. I got a bit of a bubble here. We can always trim those up later. So number 3, and now for our last one. This is the one where it didn't cut properly for us. This is an interesting one because it wants to stick to the paper. It's not wanting to come off the way I thought it should. Taking some of the backing with it. Wow. Let's see if I can pull it from here. There we go. I don't want to break this because it's really thin at the top. There we go. Just have to pull it down. There we go. There we are. And we have this little piece all ready to go. Let me move this out of the way. Make sure it doesn't stick to itself. Remember, it's not going to stick to this paper, but it is a good place to give it a start. Now, this is going to be a little more difficult because of the shape. It is such a perfect shape. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it from the paper. I'm going to get it to match that hole. Break it off, which is too bad. Come back to that in a minute. Now what we want to do is just match this up as best as possible to the edge, bit by bit. Yeah, almost there. Last piece to fit along here. This one's a little crooked. When you're working with layering things, there's always a couple of adjustments you have to make. Okay, so that one looks good coming down the edge now. I just have to match it up with this one at the top. I'll try and make it as straight as possible. A little gap where I tore it apart, but you get the whole idea of using the parchment paper this way. Now you'll see this one, I have to make a little adjustment to it as well because it's got a couple of bubbles in it. I'm using a non-permanent vinyl so that I can make these adjustments. It just made it a lot easier. So we'll just go back down and pick up the edge. And that looks a lot better now. There we go. Back on the edge. Okay, so last step now is we're going to take some ribbons. I have a black ribbon, I have a red and white one, and I have one that's some flowers. So maybe I'll just stick with this black one for now. And I haven't opened this one yet, so it's going to just take a second or two to get the edges off. It just doesn't want to release for me. Okay, there we go. I've seam those in, but then they don't allow them to release. Stuck to the ribbon, that's why. Okay, finally I got the edge off. Now all we're going to do is just take a small length of the ribbon, doesn't matter how you do it, and we can just simply string it through. And there you'll have a nice little gift tag with some glitter on the outside edges. And this is just using shapes and letters right inside. So there we go. There's 4 different tags that we've used with some ribbon, some parchment paper, some cardstock, and I used a non-permanent glitter vinyl. So I hope you had a lot of fun with this one, and happy crafting.